Hello, welcome back to my daily Tour Divide coverage. This is day 2, so let's get over to track leaders and see what's going on at the moment. So I guess we have to start at the front. It's pretty obvious at the moment that Victor is the fastest guy in the race, and he's made some pretty impressive timing. So it actually looks like he got over Richmond Peak last night. Let me just put this on full screen. So we'll dig into the route a little bit later on in the episode. We'll get into the Riber GPS and have a look at the terrain that Victor's been going over. Victor he's off route at the moment. So he's staying in Seeley Lake, which is kind of something that Victor's done quite a lot in races. So he's got no problem with going off route and finding accommodation like this. He doesn't camp, so I suspect he's got a very, very light setup. We've already seen he's got this the new Factor gravel bike with like the mountain bike tyres on, fully rigid. I do wonder whether that might catch up with him later on, but for now he's flying along. And certainly this last section, before Richmond Peak, from sort of even up and over Red Meadows, not too rough. I suspect he's been absolutely flying, and if we check out some photos of him in a while, you can see he's riding like full skin suit, hydration pack down the back. I mean, he's gone full aero for this, which is probably why he's managed to sort of just eke out that gap. It's not eking out, just force that gap. Look how big it is. Victor, he's currently sleeping. Local time in the US, we're 1 day 17 hours. Elapsed time, local time is just before 1 a.m. Victor's off course sleeping. Everyone else pretty much looks like they're asleep. So we have that kind of familiar chasing pack just behind here. So Angus Young, Lawrence Tendam, Xavier Chiriboga, and Miku Kenu. He's kind of worked up into the front a little bit. Other riders we talked about, David Chan, the Swiss rider, he's still going actually. I suspect he's probably going to sleep somewhere soon. Probably going to stop sort of 1ish in the next sort of half hour or so. Alex McCormack, he's on the move. Yeah, he's on the move. I suspect he might have had a very early stop and stayed in a hotel in Columbia Falls. So I suspect by the time everyone else wakes up, Alex will be kind of getting in closer towards these riders up here. It's probably a couple of hours down to the sort of Ferndale. I think Alex is probably just on a different routine, and we'll hear from him in a while. I've got voice notes from quite a lot of people today, actually, including Victor, Megan Hakkinen, Lawrence Tendam. So Megan, she's in Columbia Falls, so she looks like she's sleeping. She'll be in a hotel. So this is a kind of a fairly standard schedule we've seen in the last few years, and I think ultra cycling and certainly Tour Divide is starting to shift a bit because people don't sleep outside as much as they used to. It used to be that you used to camp all the time, and that was part of it. But now, people kind of go faster and try and go point to point between hotels and hard accommodation where possible. Obviously, the lighter you go, the faster you are, the smaller the relative gaps between the towns with accommodation are. Victor's relatively new. He's only been doing this 2 or 3 years. A young guy, and he's grown up with that kind of that attitude to racing. I guess we're seeing the sport develop. We're seeing a changing of the guard, and there's new riders coming in. We had Robin last year, and actually Victor's on a similar course or time to Robin at the moment. So I'm just going to go. Give a shout out to Lawrence Tendam at the moment. So he's got his website, and he's got some good tracking up there. So it gives a bit more detail. So check out that. It's bomber tracking. So the bomber tracking's got the record of Justina Slovakia, who's the official Grand Depart FKT. It's the record on the divide at the moment, because you may remember Robin set that super fast time last year, but there was fire diversion, so that didn't get recorded as the official record. So this is quite good. Gives us a bit more information. Basically Victor is pretty much level with Robin's pace. Now Robin slept a bit earlier, so I suspect Victor's probably going to have an hour or so more sleep. So I'd say Victor's within an hour or so of Robin's pace at the moment. Still very early days though. But yeah, this is quite a good additional tool to use for the tracker. We can compare things. And yeah, so that's this is Lawrence's tracker. You can see his dots on there from 2024 as well. The year he raced Justinus, and he was third. So that gives you a bit of an idea, and it just shows you how kind of the pace is just increasing across the board. So that is that's a quick overview for now, but we'll dig into some more details in a second. But before we get there, you know by now that this is supported by Redshift, and they've got some pretty cool new products. They've got this top shelf handlebar, which is really cool. I've actually got one here. I need to put it on my bike. I've got it ready for my cargo bike, so you can see it's kind of a riser, but it's got like the top bar across, so it makes it really easy to mount loads of things on there when you're bike packing, or just give you a nice higher position. So this is the 70mm rise one. There's a slightly lower 50mm rise. So that's a really cool product. It's going on my cargo bike, so when I put it on there, I'll give you a bit of a report back, see how it performs. Loads of really great stuff from Redshift, as you know by now. Check out the Redshift website. I'll put a link up, and there's a discount code as well. Big thank you to Redshift for their support, and also Enduro bearings. This can get quite geeky talking about bearings. And if you've ever talked to Matt, who's the guy that owns and runs Enduro bearings, you'll know that you can have I didn't realise how in depth a discussion about bearings you could have. But it's quite fascinating. So one really cool thing, these Max Hit bottom brackets. So they're made from stainless steel. And they're basically really strong bottom brackets, and the reason they do that, or are able to do that, stainless steel, so really strong material. But actually, normally you have like an aluminium shell, and you press in the bearing into that shell. But on these ones, the actual external race of the bearing is the actual shell itself. So therefore, you can have bigger bearings. And it just makes them really super durable. I've had one of these in my road bike over winter. In the UK we have pretty bad conditions, and it's just riding smoother and smoother. I've also got one of the first ones I had probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think 2023 I did it. I've used it for like on one bike. I've not touched it. Did the Highland Trail 550. It was horrendously wet. Did like Silk Road, and basically I think I put grease in it once, and it's still running super smooth. So really good bearings, really good life on them. Check out Enduro bearings, and again, thank you for all the support to help me do what I do. So let's have a little look. I mean, Victor's so far ahead at the moment that it's we need to go back to see where most people are. So currently, Victor is at Seeley Lake. So we're just on the Ryber GPS map here, and I'm going to use these community layers that we talked about yesterday. Really good new feature. So I'll just zoom in a bit. It looks like Victor's staying down here. I suspect there's a guest house or something. Let me see if I can put the Google Maps on. Or a church or something. Maybe he's sleeping in the church or something like that. There might be a hotel. There is a accommodation here. I'm not quite sure exactly where he's staying, but anyway, he's off route seeking shelter. So not too far in the grand scheme of things. It's probably a mile off route. So it's probably a sensible decision. And as I said, we've seen that quite often with Victor. He's quite happy to go off route, and he does kind of approach it in quite a mature way sometimes, rather than sort of pushing through for the sake of it. He can stop, and we saw that last night. So last night he stopped. He got into Eureka pretty early in the morning, like 4 a.m, and he still stayed in a hotel. I think last year Robin planned to do the same, but just pushed through anyway. So Victor's had a good sleep there, and was able to cover Whitefish divide. So this is Whitefish divide up here. So you can see kind of like the terrain. It's not super rough up here. Just kind of mountain passes. They're all fair. The thing about Tour Divide is most of it on the whole is pretty well driven. you could drive a 4x4 or a car over a lot of it. So it's not super rough, but over time it does add up. And yeah, so that's whitefish, and it sounds like the conditions have been quite good. I did wonder if there might be a bit of snow around here, but so far there's not really any reports of snow. So this is down by the Flathead River. Pretty epic. I mean, you know, as someone coming from the UK, when I've ridden down there, you just feel like you're in the wilds. Pretty epic sort of backcountry. So that's that section, and then up and over Red Meadow Pass, which is up here. So I've been up here and it's been beautiful, like these photos, and super dry. I've also been up here when you've had to hike pretty much the whole way up the pass, over the pass, and down the other side. That was 2022. If you remember, there were some pretty wild snowstorms early on that year. So that's Red Meadow Pass, and then there's these two towns here. So Whitefish, Columbia Falls. Columbia Falls, you can see there's quite a few riders. If we go back to the tracker, kind of congregated around that area, and Whitefish as well. I suspect anyone that's still moving and tracking at the moment, coming down off Red Meadow, is probably going to stay in Whitefish, in or around there. And yeah, there's plenty of hotels. Columbia Falls is a pretty big place. There's a 24-hour gas station, so it makes sense to stay there. If you arrive at, you know, probably anything past sort of 10 o'clock, you might as well just stay there and then start early if you need to. So that's Columbia Falls, Whitefish, and then there's this big road section here, nothing very exciting, and then you're kind of in the backcountry again, never too far away from the highway, but it feels like you could be a million miles away. Quite dense forest. Always, I don't know, if you're worried about bears, you always feel like there's one watching you when you're going in this section. I think that's more of a European problem than an American problem. And certainly once you've done the divide a few times, you probably stop worrying about bears as much as you probably did the first time. There is a bit of single track, but it's not. It's just basically it's just an overgrown 4x4 track. So that's the kind of terrain most of these riders are going to be heading into now, and obviously Victor's Pass. Victor has got over to Seeley Lake, so he would have gone over Richmond Peak. Now, if there's going to be snow somewhere, I suspect it will be up here. So there were some quite good photos of it somewhere, so I'll have a look and see if I can find them. So yeah, Richmond Peak, it's basically, well, you can see here, so you kind of go along this trail on the side here. It can be clear, like in these photos, in the height of summer, but also the snow it's north facing, so the snow kind of sits across the trail here, and it can be quite a drop down the side if it is pretty snow high pack. I mean, did it in, as I said, 2022, the one I keep referring to, and it looked a little bit more like this, and you can see lots of snow over the height of the little sapling trees there, and yeah, some sketchy like hikes across where it drops away to your left. But I always remember there's loads of really amazing like wildflowers and stuff around here as well. It's a pretty spectacular spot. So that's, I guess, going to be the main challenge, and it looks like Victor's got over that okay. No reports of any snow or anything. I have heard from Victor, but not since yesterday, so I'll play you that message in a minute or two. And then Victor's then going to be heading into Ovando and heading into the heart of Montana, and it's just a series of big passes over to Lincoln, and then you basically pass after pass into Helena. I guess if Victor's going to start losing time, there's Lava Mountain, which is a bit more technical in terms of like it's more of a mountain bike descent. He's on that gravel bike, and I think it's fair to say Victor's background is in road racing, and obviously he's good on gravel. I suspect he may lose a little bit of time down there compared to the other guys on mountain bikes, but at this stage his gap is pretty big. So I'd imagine he'll be aiming for Helena tonight, if not further. I think Robin got towards did he get to Butte last year? Maybe not quite Butte. I think he got to Boulder. So yeah, I suspect that Victor is pretty much aiming for for Robin's time and the places he stayed each year or each day last year. So I suspect we'll be seeing Victor around that area. So a big day coming up for him. Probably one of the tougher days on the Divide, I would have thought. There's always the old kind of saying that if you get through Montana, you're good to go for the Tour Divide, and you're probably going to finish. In terms of like back-to-back climbing, this section is going to be quite tough and it's quite steep. But Victor's like 65 kilos, is absolutely flying at the moment. So I don't see that be too much of an issue. Just one last thing on Riber GPS. If you want to see all these layers, like the community photos and things, you need the premium. You need a premium account, and I've got a 25% discount for followers of the podcast and this coverage. So I'll put that up on the screen for you, and you can check that out. So that is that's kind of what the route's looking like for the next day or so. Now I've got some updates. So actually I'm really grateful that I've been doing this a few years now, and everyone's kind of brought into it. So I've got pretty much updates from most of the sort of main figures in the race at the moment. So let's start with Victor, because I think probably he may be a newer name for a lot of the viewers over in the US. I know I get a big US audience at this time of year. So Victor's has been on the scene for a couple of years now. He's won the transcontinental race over in Europe. Which is, probably one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious ultra race in Europe. And he's won the Atlas Mountain race, but not really raced in the US much. So let's start with Victor.
Hey Josh, I hope you're doing well. I'm feeling good, a little bit dirty with the mud, but we were lucky with the weather because we had not so much rain, but it was very humid. I just stopped at Ferny to refuel, and I'm going to Eureka tonight to sleep. It's my goal for tonight. So we keep going. Thanks for your courage. Bye.
So that's Victor. Obviously, he sent me that literally just after I did my coverage yesterday. So it's almost 24 hours old now. That's Victor. For those that don't know him, and you can see just from that video, he's racing in the skin suit. He's got his bladder down the back of the skin suit. I mean, he wouldn't look out of place in unbound gravel with the setup. He's got his extra water bottles down his front. Again, there's a little aero gain. So the guy's aero, and he's 40 kilos, and he's super strong on the climbs. I mean, I've raced against him in the Trekker 560 over in Europe, and let's just say I wasn't anywhere near him, but he's an incredibly strong climber. It's going to be interesting to see. I suspect, if you're still going strong when he gets into sort of New Mexico, those areas, on when it's even more road, he'll be very, very fast. My only thoughts are, he's on a fully rigid, it's not really a gravel bike, it's probably more like a monster cross bike. Will the fatigue compound as the race goes on? We'll see, but there's no denying how strong he is. So that was Victor. Just sort of an introduction for him. And then I've got a couple of voice notes. We'll start with Alex McCormack. For me, he is a favourite. It sounds like he's had a bit of a slow start. So just a bit of background. So he's just signed for Canyon this year, their pro team. And he was third at the Unbound Excel. Really, really strong rider. He's won a lot of big races, like Atlas Mountain Race, Highland Trail 550, a lot of the big off-road races. This will be the longest one he's done, but he had a bit of a rough start. So he was meant to be shipped a bike, and he got held up in Canadian customs before the start, and basically it was all a big stress. I think he only got his bike very, very, very close to the start, maybe the night before, or maybe even the morning of the race. It was that tight. Just a bit of context. And his tracker's been playing up. There's quite a lot of trackers were playing up. Quite often we find like the first few days of the Divide, it takes a while for everyone to get settled in and get everything working. So this is Alex McCormack.
I got a new Garmin tracker and the battery life's crap. So I assumed it would do a few days, but it just did 24 hours. So that's a bit shit. But yeah, if you want a little update for your thing, it's been muddy, but like that super thin mud that's just like coats everything in grit. Tough day for the drivetrain. Pretty hilly, a few decent hiker bikes. It's been quite cold. And yeah, my personal sensations are not great, I think. Not riding the bike for 2 weeks and then having all the stress beforehand. Yeah, it's a bit of a slow start compared to what I wanted, but hopefully I'll ride into it and just going to feel.
So that was Alex. So yeah, it just sounds like all that stress before the start really it might have thrown him a bit, but yeah, keep an eye on Alex. He's world class. He's really, really strong. So I suspect he will be moving forward, and we've already seen him, on the moving this morning. Had an early night last night. I imagine he's just trying to reset himself, and yeah, I think he'll be in contention as the race goes on. Elsewhere, so Megan is obviously got quite a big lead in the women's race at the moment. So let's just hear a little update from Meg.
Tour Divide update, day 2. I'm calling in from Whitefish. Just at the gas station doing a final resupply. I think this will be my last stop before maybe Ovando. I'm going to continue down the road and camp. Today was like the most quintessential good weather Tour Divide day. It was so beautiful in the Flathead Valley. Got to climb up the wall. I saw all the things in nature, including a bear, a moose, and a beautiful fox. Leapfrogged other riders. A bunch of dot watchers were out on course cheering us on, and my feet finally dried out, so that's a big win. My bike was in such a filthy state. Like I was concerned for Dolly's well-being, and I was really grateful to get to wash it off in Eureka at the gas station there. So yeah, another good day. I'm gonna put a few more miles on and probably bivvy somewhere tonight. So adios.
Yeah, so that was Megan Hakkinen, and yeah, she sounds in really good spirits actually. Sounds very in control. So yeah, and also as we've heard from both Alex and Megan there, that like the conditions, they've not been too bad. It sounded like there was quite a bit of rain at the start, but actually it seems like those at the front seem to have got out of the rain a bit quicker than those in the mid pack. That can quite often happen. Victor was basically looked like it was sunshine, but as Alex said, it was still quite wet, even if it wasn't raining, but not like thick peanut butter mud. So just coating everything, covering everything, grit in the chamois. Dread to think the sound of dry chains going down that divide at the moment. There's some bikes getting absolutely hammered. So yeah, that's another thing you need to look out for. Things like bottom brackets and bearings do get hammered in that kind of terrain. Maybe you should check out Enduro bearings if that's the case. But so that's little updates from those guys. And then I've got 2 more updates for you before I end this. So Lawrence Ten Dam, obviously I just showed you the tracker he's got, which is really useful, so I'll be referring to that as we go on. But yeah, Lawrence sent me a little update, so let's listen to see what Lawrence says.
Yo, Josh, LTD, in between Whitefish and Colombia, 2 days in, feeling good actually. I think I'm here like half an hour quicker than 2 years ago. Also the weather was better, but I guess the level is quite high, because I'm nowhere near the front. Anyway, feeling good and ready to start ramping up the engine. Have fun with your...
So yeah, that was Lawrence. I guess it's one of the older guys realizing that the younger guys are just getting quicker and quicker, and I kind of know that feeling. But yeah, Lawrence again sounds like he's kind of on plan. I mean, there's a lot of people that are riding well and riding how they want, and they're just so far behind Victor anyway. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Victor's proven that he's able to hold that kind of pace. But it is Tour Divide. Anything can happen, as we said. He could lose that time just by getting stuck in the mud somewhere in the basin, for example. So it's never over till it's over. So I think these guys in the top 10 who maybe had aspirations for the front of the race just need to keep the heads up, keep pedaling, keep doing their thing. So I will finish off. I just had one more video. This one is from Angus Young. He sent it on Red Meadow Pass. But yeah, I think it's quite useful just to show some of the conditions.
So I've just crested the summit at Red Meadow. It's beautiful here. Legs are spinning nicely. Weather's perfect. No real noticeable snowpack, but it does look like coming off. There might be a little bit, but we will see. Got about 40k before Whitefish, where I can resupply. Anyway, ciao.
So that was Angus. And yeah, I think quite often actually when there's been quite fast Tour Divide times and good conditions, it has been similar to this up north. So maybe a bit of rain, maybe a bit of mud, but nothing too bad. And, everyone's covered in mud and they look pretty filthy, but actually it's not that sticky. So I think it's probably not slowing them down all that much. But we shall see. So thanks as always for joining me. If you're out there on the Divide, if you're listening on the podcast or watching along while you're racing, keep it going. I hope you're enjoying the ride, and I'll be back in the morning, so I'll catch you all again tomorrow. So thanks for watching and listening, and see you all soon.